I've been, for a very long time, I've been interested in belief systems. And that's what majority of my work has attempted to explore. And by belief systems, I'm not interested in specific paradigms, dogmas, or whatever. What I'm interested in is the way that science, religion, and philosophy have all attempted to answer those questions. To me, they're all attempting to do the same thing. I'm interested in the way that they have influenced the human thought throughout history, as well as they're still influencing human thought. That being said, there are generally 3 series that I've been doing this with. Some of the first series would be body ornamentation, and one of the things that interests me about body ornament is the way that it functions as communicating a lot about identity of the individual. You can, I mean, I don't like the word read, but to a degree you can assess a lot about a person based on their body adornment. And that also, that can be said about clothing as well. I'm thinking a little bit broader here. So I'm trying to use that as a strategy to talk about the way that individual identity is formed, as well as group identity is formed, and how we interact, how those things influence our thought process. So then the next series would be the chainmail series. And in that series, I'm particularly interested in the idea of the way that, I'm interested in protection. Protection has 2 sides of it. Protection has a very positive side, which is a sense of security. But it also has a very negative side, which is that there's a motivation of fear that causes you to employ this form of armor. And so, so I'm looking at it from how does fear impact our belief systems and impact our daily interactions with one another, both again as an individual as well as collective. And in each piece I try to ask another question about that. Then the third series is the transient series. And in that series, I'm more interested, well, I'm interested in 2 main things. I'm interested in, first of all, science's attempt to define the incorporeal, define God. Again, I think that religion has done it, or tried to do it, philosophy has tried to do it, and science certainly wants to do it. So I'm trying to use a 19th century obsolete technology to discuss, to engage the viewer in this way that scientific theory has changed when it's tested against new theories, and that's wonderful. That's called the advancement, that's advancing. But at the same time, I'm interested in what happens to those previous things. In particular, like when a science becomes a pseudoscience. That's a really fascinating transition. And then I'm using the metaphor, transient metaphor, to talk about the temporal quality of our thoughts or our lives, or again, of all of our belief systems, just how short-lived those things really are. The bigger question, the one that most people ask me, what is the influence of steampunk? I was not aware that there was a genre or cultural aspect called steampunk until about 2 years ago when one of my students pointed it out. And since then, of course, I've become really sort of interested in it. I'm really fascinated by it. So that now probably influences my work, certainly more than it did. I mean, I guess in a roundabout sort of way, considering the types of movies that I really liked, I guess there's definitely always been some of that. I'm trying to think, there's like City of Lost Children, I guess that would be probably a pretty steampunked movie, or I mean, even though it wasn't intentionally set that way. So then things like that, those types of movies really heavily influenced me, Blade Runner and all of that. So I've been thinking a lot about kinetic work lately. I've never truly explored the kinetic idea, and in fact, to the degree that I just applied for developmental leave this year, and in my developmental leave proposal, that's part of it, is that I want to move this work to a kinetic, to have a kinetic component, and more specifically, I'm interested in figuring out ways to have it viewer initiated, whether or not it's motion detectors or, well, my ideal would be mobile apps. I think would be a fascinating way to get the viewer's participation with the object. Yeah, since almost all of us have cell phones or smartphones at this point, then that would be an interesting way to get you to communicate directly with the work, but then metaphorically talk about that as well, the separation, the interconnectedness and separation. So yeah, I'm very interested in the kinetics. I have not moved that direction at this point, and that's where I think this stuff needs to go. That to me is the next logical step.
This video has been made possible by the Wyoming Arts Council and UW Art Museum Gala funds.